Start then. Good evening, everyone. Those who are on the line, thanks for joining. This is the third series of our IIT Bombay Bangalore Alumni Association Bangalore Chapter Core Engineering Talk. Herein, we invite some of the distinguished individuals from their field and try to learn from their experience in the core engineering. This time, we have got Mr. Shashank Vaidya with us, who would be talking about what it takes to succeed in core engineering. Just a brief introduction about Vaidya sir. So he is currently director of ENGSERV Energy Private Limited, which is a consulting firm into the engineering domain. He will share more about it. He has been adjunct professor of civil engineering IIT Kanpur. He has been gold medalist during his MTech days, and he has been in HCC for a long portion of his career and is based out of Mumbai. So I will leave it there and pass it on to Vaidya sir to start. Sir, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. I hope the screen, everybody is able to see the screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can see.
okay. So we'll have the question answers at the end of the presentation. Uh, as the topic given to me suggests, I am going to share my experiences as a construction engineer, a civil engineer, construction engineer, or call it a person who has lived the core engineering and not changed over to any other stream. Uh, I haven't had any spectacular or outstanding career as such. I would say there would be many people who have had greater success than what I have achieved in my career. But I thought it's possible to learn even from the ordinary careers or people who have. I would like to share a vast experience, not necessarily a very successful experience. Because success is very relative, and I would touch upon that as we move forward. It's not taking forward when I click. Yeah, okay. So let me begin at the very beginning because the topic is to do with core engineering. When it all began for me as a civil engineer, it was when in the year 1975 I chose to be a civil engineer. Uh, Many of you, what I'm going to share, I think many of you might have passed through a similar phase in your life when you had to make a career choice, a life defining career choice. Uh, Given the background that I had, didn't like biology and stuff like that. In 1975, there were only two options: be a doctor or be an engineer. So it didn't take much to decide to be an engineer. But my performance in the board examination was nothing to write home about. I fared as a very average student. I also didn't succeed in JEE. I came from a tier 3 city, hardly any coaching, no peer relationships, or no background to even prepare anything. So I took JEE, I took the board exam like any other examination that we were used to, the third monthly, the 6 monthly, and the annual examinations. And the result was I was nowhere close to qualifying JEE, and my board results were pretty, I mean, very poor. So I have hardly had any choice. Um, Coming from, as I again repeat, from a tier 3 city, we had no vision of going to big cities like Mumbai or Delhi. And I limited my choice to engineering colleges either in Madhya Pradesh or the nearest where I could be not a hostler but a day scholar, that was Nagpur. Uh, and it so happened that I didn't get civil engineering, admission in civil engineering. I didn't get admission in engineering at all. I was on a waiting list. So perhaps out of desperation, I appeared for an architectural stream where they had an separate entrance examination. And I got selected as a student for architecture stream. And I took it. I would have made a horrible architect. because now after close to 40 years of service, I realized that I had very little what it takes to be a good architect. But there was nobody to advise, and in out of my insecurity, I took that stream. But it so happened, luckily for me, that the wait list got clear and I got admission in metallurgical stream. And so it was very easy for me to give a sigh of relief and say, oh, at last I'm going to be an engineer. My choice was civil engineering though. And before the classes started, when we joined, I think even now it happens. There are people dropping out, they get migrate to a better college, they get the branch of their choice or some other admission, and the vacancies keep, the the wait list keep moving up and down. So before the classes started, I got into civil engineering. Now, if you ask me why did I choose to be a civil engineer? Again, absolutely, I can't give a coherent answer, a cogent answer, except for the fact that my father was a civil engineer. So maybe it was just role modeling that was at the back of my mind when I decided to be a civil engineer. So one learning here is that choose your role model carefully, because you tend to get what you model after. I don't regret being a civil engineer, but I am saying the decision that I took to be a civil engineer was apparently today I can the only thing I can say is it was a role model based decision. And if there were career counselors available then, had they examined my personality, my aptitude, and my interest, they wouldn't have recommended me to be a civil engineer. But I had no choice because uh, I think the best I could get based on my marks was civil engineering, and anyway, I had decided to be a civil engineer. The real choice I got was after second year. In those days, we had 11 plus 5 years. So the engineering streams, the branching became after fourth semester. So based on the performance of the first fourth semester, I had an option to switch over to mechanical or electrical or electronics, the then upcoming branch of engineering. But I chose to remain in civil engineering. So actually, the real decision that I made, the real choice that I had ever in terms of selection of a branch was not when I in 1975 when started studying engineering, but after 2 years when I had the option to switch over, and I still decided to remain a civil engineer. The reasons still apply. It was still the role model based decision. Still, despite friends and other guys who were into mechanical and electrical stream, there was actually nobody trying to tell me why I shouldn't be or should not be a civil engineer. I think one of the reason was in those days civil engineering was a reasonably equal stream, the first amongst not the first, not the second, but so not a big difference. The drop in civil engineering's rank or status, if I may use the word, it's a common perception. I'm not saying civil engineering is good or bad or other streams are better or worse, but the common perception, civil engineering was a fairly good branch in those days. So I stuck with it. Again, in hindsight, I wasn't suited to be a good civil engineer. So the first learning I realize now is getting into engineering or getting into civil engineering then was actually not a decision because I didn't have a choice. I just took whatever I could get based on my performance. So in order to be able to take good decisions in life, you need to have choices. So either you create choices yourself or you should be lucky enough to be presented with choices. So initially, as I said, to begin with, I did not do good enough to present myself with choices. And when a choice was available, I choose something. Again, I'm not saying right or wrong, right? Second is, and today I'm here because of that choice I made in the year 1975 or 77. And thereafter, I had a couple of choices to be made, maybe in the year 1982, again in 84, again in 2000, 2010. So there are points in time in your career where you are presented with reasonably large decision making opportunities with regard to your life with regard to your career. And your success, failure, where you happen to be, what you achieve, what you don't achieve, is shaped by such few important decisions. And why I'm focusing on this subject is because decision making, therefore, is a fairly important uh, criteria for success or failure. But more important than that, and that's again I will reiterate, perhaps I would have made by personality, by the mindset that I have, I would have perhaps made a better engineer in some other branch. I might have been more suited to electronics. IT didn't exist then. Maybe mechanical. Maybe I could have been a better lawyer, right? But having made a choice, having made a decision, I am very happy that I am a civil engineer. Not because I made the right choice in the year 1975 or 1977, but because I worked hard to make whatever decision I had taken to be a right decision. So it's very difficult to make a good decision. You have a lot of problems, you have a lot of uncertainty, you have a lot of conflicts. Yeah, therefore, I believe that once you take a decision, the real problem or the real input starts then. What do you do after having taken a decision? Do you continually look back and regret that why did I take this decision? I would have been better off having done this or done that. So, couple of choices that I did not make, and today it's possible for me to regret why I didn't appear for IS examination, why I did not choose to go it into an IIM, why did I not go to US for MS or PhD. At some points in my life these options were available, and given the academic performance that I had developed later on in my career, it was possible that I could have gone into any of this. I could have gone into perhaps civil services, could have, if not from IIMs, at least a decent MBA, could have definitely gone to Berkeley because my professor in IIT Madras offered that you want to go to Berkeley, I'll get you there. I said, no, I want to serve India from in while I'm in India. So I made a series of choices, and I don't regret any one of this choice because I think you make a choice, you need to put all your energy, all your effort, all of yourself into making that choice the right one. So if one learning throughout, based on the 40 years of my more than 40 years now of the career that I have had, is to I'm not saying blindly stick to your decision, but I'm saying unless the evidence is overwhelmingly contrary to what decision you have taken, give the best shot that you got, enjoy the decision that you have made, and more often than not, you will succeed in what you do. So the next was another important issue. Uh, I don't know how many of you have uh, done your schooling in vernacular. I did my 11th standard in Hindi. So we learned physics, chemistry, mathematics in Hindi medium. It's some of the words that we had in Hindi were, it would sound very funny to those of you who have learned physics, chemistry, mathematics from the beginning in English. And when I started engineering, that became a big bottleneck for me. Having very little idea of, I mean, English grammar is okay, but the terminology of physics, chemistry, maths, and other subjects in English was itself a challenge. So fortunately, somehow I got into a good company, company of guys who had done very well in their board examination. They were in the merit list of their respective boards, and they had a habit of reading. And because of my association with them, I started reading. And I started reading any novel that they said, not serious reading. I just started reading. Within the first 2-3 years of engineering, I read almost all Agatha Christie novels. I read a lot of Arthur Haley and Desmond Bagley and Alistair MacLean. So just kept reading English. And before I knew it, in less than 2 or 3 semesters, I had completely overcome the handicap of the language with which I had started studying. Uh, so not just language, it is also the communication skill which is extremely important for your success in life. And I would go on to say that communication trumps many other skills, including hardcore technical domain skills. You need to be able to imbibe what you are reading, what others are talking about. You need to be able to communicate your thoughts and ideas to others. And to be able to do that, you must have proficiency in a language and also the verbal, non-verbal part of communication. Also, the company keep is extremely important because if it were not for my friends who inculcated in me the idea, the habit of reading, I think I would have not overcome the language barrier. And I still find many of my colleagues struggling with the language barrier. In my company, there are very good engineers, very good civil engineers, but they are unable to express, they are unable to be effective as they are capable of being effective. And therefore, I give credit to my friends for helping me overcome the handicap very early in my academic year. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been as successful as I am today. The next is uh, a major important change in my life with as a core engineer was the year 1983-84, when I had by the time joined the Indian Railways as a civil engineer through the UPSC examination. And I was allotted South Central Railway with Secunderabad, Hyderabad at its headquarters. But out of blue, I was suddenly transferred to Assam. Uh, in today's world, you don't know what remote places or what remoteness is all about. Today, you can reach from any part of India to any other part of India, a village to another village across the length and breadth of the country in less than 24 hours. But in those days, it used to take us to reach 60 hours minimum. If you are lucky, you get all connecting trains, you get buses or vehicle is available to you. So it was literally vanvas. And by all common sense, general perception in the railways, it would have been termed as a punishment posting. I think a very, very major part of what I am today, I owe to this 9, 10 years that I spent in Assam, bridging the mighty Brahmaputra at two different places. One was a place called Tejpur, and another is a place unheard of even today called Jogi Ghopa, about 40-50 kilometers from Bogoigao. Bogoigao is a little well known because it has a big refinery there. So, and why do I credit my stint there at these projects as a very strong basis of my whatever I could achieve in life as a civil engineer, as a construction engineer? Because I got to dirty my hands. I got to walk in the mud. I got to face rains and hailstorms and freezing cold and all kinds of adverse conditions. And this is very peculiar to civil engineering. What happens in the field is significantly different than what you conceive on the paper, in the labs, in the academia. And to be successful as a construction engineer, especially as you move up the ladder, you must have this experience. You must know what happens on the ground. You must know how theory is literally butchered in some places. You must know the difference between theory and practice. Because unless you know this difference, you will not be able to take good decision either as a manager or even as a researcher. Even if you want to do today digitization, you must know how that digitization is not likely to succeed or how it is going to fail, because what happens in the field is very much different than what you imagine it to be. Another big input, that another big plus, I would say, in those days, the construction engineering field or branch or civil engineering wasn't fragmented or divided the way it is today. Today, you have a separate surveyor, a separate billing engineer, a separate planning engineer, a separate supervisor, a separate contracts administration, a separate, you name it. You will have 10 or 15 different people doing different parts of construction engineering. In those days, we were only either a design office or a field office. So there was a design engineer who was separate, and there were field engineers who used to do everything. So as a field engineer, I got the opportunity at the cutting edge level to do everything. So in the section that I was in charge of, I had to do the survey, I had to supervise the work, I had to do the mix design, I had to supervise concreting, I had to record measurements, I had to manage the contract, the labor, the contractual correspondence, I had to create bar charts, present plans, do MIS, everything. And that experience is unmatched. I think I was extremely lucky to have got that experience on a mega construction project early in my life. And if anyone who is here in the early stages of his career as a construction engineer, as a civil engineer, grab this opportunity, such an opportunity if you get it. But don't go to small sites, because many small sites, not many things pan out. The way, in a reasonably big project, you get to see real construction engineering and technology. Okay. Then one other major choice that I had to make, I think I skipped in between that. After I joined railways, uh, I was in construction. Major part of my life in railways was actually only in three different fields. One was construction in Assam, 9 to 10 years. Then I was a professor in the Railway Institute at Pune. We have a civil engineering training institute at Pune. From the construction site, I was pushed into being a professor, and I was absolutely scared. I couldn't speak much. And this was also in railways, the academic posting like this, research and development posting and teaching positions are also not considered to be, they're not sought after positions. So this was also sort of a punishment posting, if I may use the word. So I had 5 years as a professor of bridge engineering, but another wonderful experience. Whatever I had seen in the field, I had experienced in the field, I could convert that and polish it in the form of presentations, in the form of ideas and thoughts to train the railway engineers who are like me, who are joining the railway as engineering officers. And my last stint, a small stint in railway, was when I was chief engineer in the Konkan Railway Corporation between 1998 and 2001. And a major decision I had to take, because this time an opportunity presented to me. And I had to take a decision to continue in railways or take a jump and migrate to private sector. And I don't know if many of you know, in government service, the biggest charm of government service is the pension that you get lifelong, no amount of financial planning. And I have done that now, having come to private sector. I do a lot of financial planning, and I now know how powerful or how good that pension scheme of the government is. Your basic financial worries till the last day of your life are taken care of. And here I was, chief engineer in Konkan Railway. I got an opportunity in a private sector job, but I had to let go of all the benefits, that the administrative the retirement benefits that would have accrued to me, because I had not completed 20 years of service in railways. So unlike the decision to take civil engineering as a career, or to do MTech, or not go abroad, or to join railways, this was by far a most difficult decision of my life, because I was like every other human being, I got accustomed to a protected and sheltered and safe existence in the government job, and also doing well, having risen to be a chief engineer at the age of 40. So it was a major decision for me, and I took literally what you read on the slide here. I jumped out of the aeroplane without a parachute. I had no idea how the private sector looks like. I had no idea what the skills are necessary to succeed in private sector. I had only one thing, that if somebody has found me good enough, if I have if I have confidence in my abilities, I think I'll be able to succeed, whatever it takes to succeed, even in private sector. So here, the two punishment postings that I talked about, the one was posting in the Northeast Frontier Railway and the posting as a professor of civil engineering. Actually, HCC was looking for somebody to set up training function, and they wanted somebody who had a field experience and also who had a training experience. And literally, they couldn't find more than 5 engineers fitting this criteria. Somebody who had a project experience and a teaching experience, a practical, not academic teaching, a practical teaching. And that's how I got this opportunity. And I took the jump, and I don't regret. But I could have easily fallen in what is known as paralysis by analysis. Had I consulted, I didn't consult any of my friends, any of my peers, my family members. I took the decision, and I said, this is, I have decided to take a jump. It took some time, but fortunately, I wasn't paralyzed in gathering a lot of information or talking to hundreds of people, because if you do that, there is always going to be a huge spectrum, a diversity of opinions. Somebody would try to scare you into doing this. Everybody has his own way of looking at things. So I think you need to be careful whom you consult. Also, don't agonize over decisions for a disproportionately long period of time. And I did that, and I'm happy that I made that choice. I don't regret it at all. And the as I said again, the what transpired thereafter, in hindsight, I think it was a good decision. In fact, then I got people calling me up and saying, I need your advice. I want to change over from railways to private sector. I got at least a dozen of people calling me and saying, how did you do this? We want your advice. And to some of them, I said, don't do this. But as I said, I might have been wrong giving them the advice. They were the best people to take a decision, but they asked for me, so asked my advice, so I had to take. The second thing that I also realized, that grass can be greener or on the other side of the side, depends on what you think that green means. So if it was administrative power, I completely lost it from 100 to less than 10, because I went as a training in charge in a construction industry, and you know how difficult it is to do that job, to get people to come to classroom for training. I had to establish myself. I had to fight the label of being a bureaucrat with a background of red tape and stuff like that. Okay? And so I had lost administrative authority completely. But then there was an opportunity to get that authority, not because of the chair that you occupy, but because of what you bring to the table. So I saw in this an opportunity not only to put to use whatever I had learned in the field, as also learned in the Railway Training Institute, a midterm sabbatical to do R&D and study. Again, a paid sabbatical, if I may use the word, because for teaching you need to study a great deal. So this opportunity, not many people get to hone up the knowledge regarding your subject matter. So I had got this opportunity to do that. brush up my knowledge, to add on to my knowledge. So I thought I would further do this by being in the private sector. But as I said, if I had taken success to be that I would suddenly be become a senior in private sector and become a CEO overnight, then definitely. So you have to take it step by step. You need to prioritize. You need to understand what you want in life and define your goals and objectives and measure success based on that. Then the next major decision happened in the year 2007. And this time I had already moved away from HCC. I was in a real estate developer company, and the Lehman Brothers crisis hit 2007, 2000 and, sorry, it was 2009 when Lehman Brothers crisis hit, and there were a lot of bloodbath, not only in the industry but also in the job market. I had to do a very sad task. A couple of guys who had left HCC and came to this organization, just they followed me. So I was responsible for their changing over from HCC, following me, and I had to let go of them. I had to, neither HR nor anybody else in this organization did it. They said, you are the HOD, you have to do it. I did it once. Second time I said, I am not going to do it. So I told my employer that you are worried about cash outflow. Allow me to be a consultant for 1 week. Whatever saving you have from my salaries is able to, you are able to retain all these employees. And fortunately, my boss appreciated my idea. He accepted this and allowed me, while I was an employee, it got converted into a contract employee, and I was allowed to try to get consulting assignments outside. And that's how this time I took a jump with a parachute. This time I had done far greater analysis. I had tasted private sector thoroughly. I was in private sector now by the time more than 8 years. So I had good amount of idea and more confident than I was earlier. So this was, I think, a better thought out decision. So I became a freelancer. Now, this time I realized something I didn't have at all earlier is an entrepreneurial mindset. All along I had been an employee. As a freelancer also, I was sort of a one-man army, getting assignments based on my personal skills. But we got another opportunity. My old friend, partner is no more, Jagdish Raje, who was my batchmate in IIT Madras. He got an opportunity for us to start this gem engineering service as a consulting company. We got an opportunity from an American US contractor to outsource some of their services. They wanted to outsource, and they somehow, Jagdish got hold of this opportunity. And while I was freelancing, he asked me, shall we set up this? So I said, why not? This is another, apart from freelancing, I will also look after this company. And that's how in the year 2009, August, this GEM engineering service started. And from an employee strength of 2 in 2009, it has grown to be now 300 plus employees today. And I learned entrepreneurship a hard way. Right? I had very little idea of financing, finances or financing or cash flow and money matters. And I had very little entrepreneurial ideas. But I had enough confidence because of the major decision that I had taken and succeeded, that will succeed here also. And that's again what it has proved out to be. I don't regret having left HCC. I don't regret left having the other job and become a freelancer. In fact, it has given me a 360-degree view of the industry. I think uh, not many people can say that they have worked in the government. from the employer, from a private sector contractor, from a private sector consultant, as a freelancer, as an employer now. So virtually a 360-degree view of the business of construction engineering I'm lucky to have got. Lucky because opportunities presented themselves at the right time, and partly because I had created the opportunities myself and I was ready to take those opportunities. And here, something that also helped me is the thought that, this being a jack of all and master of none is a myth. I think it's better to say jack of all and master of some. This is the way I see myself. Because of the early experiences, I was made to do everything at construction, right from surveying to the 360-degree, every part of construction function. Also in HCC, I got to be a trainer. I got to double in quality management. I got to oversee design. I got to oversee even R&D in HCC. So obviously, I wasn't master of everything, but I had sufficient insight, sufficient experience of many things. So I would say a jack of all and maybe a master of one or two domains, not one, but I would I would say at least I'm proficient today in concrete technology, in quality management, and little bit not as proficient in quality, but very near that in occupational health and safety management. And I haven't forgotten structural engineering, which I learned in IITBAA. So this is something that has helped me. And one of the reason why I took the decision to not be an employer but become a freelance consultant is because at that stage in my career, I had to choose between being a generalist or a specialist. Now, in most organizations, you do not have a role which allows you to dabble in multiple things, to do quality also, designs also, safety also, training also. You would be asked to be either head of quality or head of design or head of training. So you can't then dabble in other streams. And as a consultant, I had the opportunity to do whatever I like. It's like I'm working now for more than 20 or 30 or 50 clients. For some, I'm delivering training. For some, I'm doing audits. For some, I'm advising on quality. Some, I'm reviewing designs. So I got to practice all aspects of engineering, and I enjoy and I love doing that. I also realized that if you want to be a good general manager, and I mean to say general manager not as a designation, but as a person who is not considered as a technical expert, but he has to manage a team of. So typically, what bureaucrats do, typically what CXOs do, it is far easier to be a successful, and an effective general manager if you have domain knowledge, domain expertise, and not superficial domain knowledge and expertise. Not you don't have to be expert, but not superficial also. A reasonable, I would say somewhere in between of the experts that you are going to manage. So you know who is talking sense and who is not talking sense. Right? If you don't know anything and you just want to follow blindly as a boss order, and I don't think that allows you to take the best decisions in the interest of the organization or the best decision that the situation demands. So here I am, having worked in different parts. I also realize, having started, as I said, in 1975 with a background that is much below par for an IIT engineer, if I have reached here, I'm sure all of you who had a head start, because you are all, many of you are IIT graduates, you have got a head start. So if I have done this, I find no reason why each one of you cannot do this. But I also found that people, extremely brilliant engineers, extremely talented, highly competent, very high aptitude, they haven't succeeded in life because one, either they did not make the right decisions whenever a need to make major decisions in their life came about, or they did not manage themselves well. And by managing well, I what you see on the screen is either they were slaves of their ego, or the greed, or jealousy, or always worried about what others will think. So, if you are slave of these emotions, you tend to alienate people. You tend to create enemies, and brilliant academic performance or extremely high aptitude isn't going to help you succeed if you fall prey to any one of these. So this is about the journey that I had, and now to come to something that I was asked to speak about, my views on what COVID-19 has done to the construction industry. I think it has shaken everything. It's not just construction industry. Every aspect of our existence has been thoroughly jolted. I see this also in a positive light. There is in this shock something that construction industry used to talk about, but nothing much was really done. And the favorite topic of theoretical discussions was that we are over dependent on workmen. And when there was mass exodus of workmen, absolute non-availability of workmen, projects stalled, completely stopped. Then we realized we need to now find alternatives, not to be over dependent on workmen. So it has definitely accelerated search for automation, search for solutions like precast construction, search for moving closer to factory based working than 100% site based working. What it has also done, and maybe COVID is not the only thing responsible for this, the attendant events of GST and RERA, these have also tightening legislation. Have also, my sense is somehow there is now greater requirement, greater awareness, greater acceptance of professional services. And I'm talking here in more limited sense for the real estate sector. There were, why do we need to do PERT CPM? Why do we need to do project scheduling? Why do we need quantity estimation? This kind of queries we used to get when we went to sell our services. Why do you need to manage contracts? Why do you need contracts? So now people have realized, I don't know how much it is because of COVID, maybe because of multi variety of things, more professional services would be sought out, are being sought. Negligence or only paying lip service to quality management and safety management, I think it has been realized that we need to be more serious. Again, I'm talking in the context of India and more in the context of real estate. There is now wider awareness, deeper understanding, and acceptance that we need to be serious about health and safety of the people who are working for us. Uh, a question about core engineering. What do you think it is? It is very, I will not use the word foolish, but it is dangerous to hazard a guess because technology always surprises you. So I think what has happened will, maybe the gap between theory and practice will narrow down. I think it's 50-50. It may even widen. Digitization is definitely going to take roots. This I am pretty sure it's already happening, but digitization cannot happen without participation of core engineers. What are you going to digitize? There has to be somebody who understands the core engineering to tell you this is what I need to digitize. Somebody needs to understand the technology, the way the technology is implemented, right? In order to digitize something. It can't, digitization will not happen in vacuum. Good engineers who understand the business, who have worked at the cutting edge level, they only would help in success of digitization. Otherwise, it will be like mass of data, a mass of information without any benefit. Uh, all innovations would have greater importance related to core engineering. These last two bullets I'm pretty certain. You can't innovate until you understand what's the current reality and what you want it to change, what the new reality is going to look like. Without core engineering, it's extremely difficult to achieve this. So there could be a synergy, there could be a shaking of hands between those who come with an innovative idea and those who are going to accept and make this innovative idea work in the field. So the importance of core engineering, and for IITians, as I said, you have a head start. You definitely have very high aptitude. You have a brand behind you. You have access to good resources, elite network, and I don't think there is much to worry about. So I can only advise from my personal experience, do not be a master of one. Have at least couple of or more than 2 or 3 subjects in which you have proficiency or closer to expertise. And I'm certain, given your aptitude, you can do this. Most of innovation happens at the junction of two different streams meeting. So if you have also the expertise gets better recognition. I can give an example. Personally, I am into, let's say, structural audit. Civil engineers would understand this. Structural audit requires two different streams of civil engineering expertise. One is, I am talking of concrete structures or steel structures, so you need to understand concrete technology and you need to understand structural engineering. A pure structural engineer or a pure concrete technologist would be no match for somebody who has both structural engineering knowledge and concrete technology knowledge. But he can't be a jack of these two. He need not be absolute expert, but he has to be proficient in both these subjects to be able to do this. I got many opportunities because, as I said, the 3 domains: structural engineering, concrete technology, and quality management. So I got opportunities where only quality managers couldn't work, where only concrete technologists couldn't work, but they needed somebody who knew both quality and concrete. Or somebody who knew both concrete and structural engineering was needed rather than a pure concrete technologist or a pure structural engineer. So if you master more than one subject, you have created a niche for yourself. Don't just be a super master of one subject. Be not a grandmaster, but let's say in chess, if there is a grandmaster, there is an international master. If you are international master in 2, 3, 4 subjects, I think you got great opportunity. I am not saying you don't be a grandmaster. If you love a particular topic, you want to be an absolute dada guru expert in that, go ahead and do that. But then realize you are narrowing the field for yourself and be prepared for whatever comes your way. Also, 5 years of engineering or 4 years of engineering is maybe not enough to understand the why of everything. And I find one of my grouses with civil engineers, especially, is the moment they are out of college, they stop reading. And especially the why of what happens in engineering is extremely important in order to take correct decisions. For innovation, for R&D, for making anything new, for digitization, this why of things is going to be extremely important. So it's not just mugging up a topic, not just reading a code. So if I may give an example, not just read IS 456 as a code, you need to read the explanatory handbook of IS 456 to understand what each clause of the code is meant. Then you can practice that IS 456 far more effectively and better. Uh, having the having the aptitude that you all got, it won't be difficult for you to do data crunching, analysis, and take right decision. But in the field, what happens, and often I have found, that it is far more difficult, and that's where judgment comes in. Far more difficult to get the right information for taking this decision. So you need to learn to segregate the relevant from the irrelevant, to know what is or what are the sources of good information, reliable information, authentic information, and then rest of it, I am sure with your aptitude, you will be able to take the decision. But many mistakes happen because you do excellent analysis on the wrong data, excellent analysis of less relevant information. So this is something that comes from practical experience, being in the field, seeing decisions, others taking the decisions, succeeding and failing. Right? That's what all experience and judgment about. Also, the sooner you realize, the better. All academic qualifications have a half-life. I'm talking in the context is radioactive materials have a half-life, so their mass reduces to half after a particular time. So the power, the worth, the value, I'm not using the, sorry, value is the wrong word. The weightage that a degree carries, it has a half-life. For construction and civil engineering, the half-life is the little comfortable. It's a few years. But in some other engineering, in some other businesses, half-life, I understand in software coding and stuff like that, the half-life could be 1 year or 6 months. By the time you become proficient and do a few programs, you find that some new languages hit the market. In civil engineering, it takes years for something new to come in, but that is accelerating. The rate of change is happening faster. So don't rest on your laurels of being an IITian. Realize that it's going to carry you in the first few years, and thereafter people will want to know what did you do, how did you utilize your head start that you got in life, what did you add to your expertise, what did you add to your competence, have you kept current with the development in the subject and stuff like that. So keep upskilling yourself. I like this quote from Jack Welch: when the rate of change outside is faster than the rate of change inside, the end is near. He meant it for organizations, but I think it equally applies equally well for individuals. I think with this, I conclude my presentation, and we can take questions. Thank you, Ali. Thank you,
Thank you.
Regis. I'm open to questions.
Thank you.
Can I
Yes.
can I close my PPT?
Yes, you can. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Vaidya sir. That was really insightful. I mean, some of the quotes I'm going to definitely use going forward, and I'm sure others will also benefit from it. So let's open the floor for the questions. People on the line, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself and you may ask Vaidya sir now. While we do that, I think there was one question already there from Anil Pandit. How can core engineers from other streams, mechanical, electrical, material support construction engineers?
Oh, okay. If you see, many changes in construction engineering have actually come from other than civil engineers. You see, the last few years, few decades of development, whether today it's sensors, it's not civil engineers who have designed these sensors, it's electronics. You see batching plant, it's not civil engineers, it's the mechanical engineers. Cranes, mechanical engineers. Admixtures, chemical engineers. So most of these changes have come from non-civil engineering streams. So the way going forward is, I think civil engineers need to, we can provide you what is needed. We can explain, we can express the problems that we are facing. The solutions have to come from either electronics or mechanical or chemical or any other branch of engineering where the problem is relevant. So I think interaction between the non-civil engineers and civil engineers would itself, as I said, innovation happens when two diverse streams cross. So you just cross pollinate, talk to civil engineers, talk to construction professionals, try to find out the pain areas, and if you have a solution, we'll lap it up.
Okay. Thanks for that, sir. Uh, any other question on the line?
Ali, Ali, there is one
If yeah,
question from Smita in the chat.
sure. Okay. This is about your point that you made, sir, about innovation happens at the junction of two or more disciplines. Could you give a couple of examples related to the business
Okay, I think while
from your
answering the previous
experience?
question itself, I have given an example that
Yeah.
concrete pump. It was an innovation in placement of concrete.
Yeah.
It happened when there was a cross between construction technology, the need to pump concrete or the concrete properties, and the hydraulics and mechanical engineering part of it. The while I think Ali, when we were in HCC, you remember we did lot of we filed for a couple of patents when we were in HCC, and most of these patents, the the solutions came not from civil engineering. So we had an idea of how to develop an instrument to control theft of diesel in construction sites. Theft of diesel is a big problem in construction industry. So we came up with an idea of a flow meter and a sensor to record how much diesel has been dispensed to different construction equipment. Instead of the pen and paper transaction, whether the operator says I've received 500 liters, but he actually receives 400 liters. So this idea, instrumentation, flow meter is hydraulics, and the need is construction engineering. And there could be many examples like this.
Okay. No, thanks. Thanks for that, sir. Anybody else with the question, or otherwise, we have some questions which were given to us before the session, but I wanted to give people chance who are here if they have any questions to ask directly. Okay, maybe not. So let me just pick up a couple of questions from there. How do you see blending advances in data science, machine learning, and AI into core engineering?
I think it's it's the way that has happened in the past. It's only the rate of change is faster. I remember my seniors didn't have calculators with. I mean, we were the first batch, maybe the second batch, who had the benefit of calculators. Before that, it was slide rule. I think many of the youngsters would not know what a slide rule is. So so it was log tables, slide rules, calculators, computers, mainframe computers when I was in IIT, not even desktops, then desktops. Then you have got cell phone. So, and we find applications. We find today a lot of digitization is building around cell phones. So you have digital apps on Android or iPhones where a lot of data capturing is happening in the field. So this is what a lot of this is happening in capturing information. In the pen and paper method of capturing information is passé. It's being replaced by online, on the move entry by the supervisors and the engineers in the field. Sensors are perhaps capturing details, the levels that we used to otherwise manually do, and communicating this information to a central server. A lot of data is possible to get the data in the central server, and you need to write an algorithm. So for example, if I give pardon me, I'll give only construction technology example. So maturity of concrete today, you put sensors in the concrete, the data, the time, temperature, history of a concrete is automatically conveyed to a central server, and an algorithm calculates and it predicts the in situ strength of concrete. I don't have to, we don't have to worry about going there and doing some measurements. So this is instrumentation, this is communication, this is um, programming. So part of AI, all this is getting together. Again, you talk to us, what's the problem, and you give us the solution. This is how innovation is going to happen, and this is how I see it's happening.
Okay,
More and more,
sure.
analysis part is getting automated. Data capturing part is getting automated. But
Okay, okay,
but I'll repeat, judgment is still not. The judgment part maybe it will take more. It will take
more
much
time.
more time for the AI
Okay,
to build and develop.
okay. Thank you. No, thank you, sir. I think we have time for one last question. There's a question from Joseph. If you can just take that, then we'll close the call. So, role or lack of strict government regulation on approval or control of design and construction is hindrance to the engineering, unlike in developed countries where there is strict regulation. So, what's your opinion about what government should do?
Uh, Actually, I think there is enough. In our country, the problem is less of having a legislation, but of implementing. So yes, in essence, we we have uh, we have anybody coming and doing things in construction engineering. So you want to do MDT, anybody can come and do ultrasonic pulse velocity. Anybody can do rebound hammer. You know, we need to put a premium on skills. We need proper organizations either from the government or from the industry body to be able to create certification level programs. The government and private sector owners can start insisting on only qualified persons doing job. For example, in construction, anybody, virtually anybody can come and do compaction of concrete. Anybody can do batching plant operation. So you are, at least in mechanical engineering, you have welder qualification. Here we don't have qualification for most of the workmen that we have. Lab technician, we have now ACI qualification, and American chapter of ACI is trying to bring in that for every skilled job that's going to affect the integrity of structure. The industry associations should come voluntarily forward and create such things which the at least the private sector organizations can accept and put it in their contract, insist through their contracts, and the government can support that themselves itself.
Okay, thanks. I think that was really good session, sir. Thanks for taking also questions at the end. I would like to ask Bidyut for vote of thanks. Bidyut is the vice president for our Bangalore chapter for IIT Bombay Alumni Association. Bidyut, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. Just a minute.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah, Rupali.
Yeah,
Hello.
Rupali here. Yeah, I have one question. Is it okay if I ask?
I am okay. I have no problem so long as I can
yes, go
answer
ahead.
the question.
Okay, sure. So, sir, I have done my master's in electrical from IIT Bombay, and like you said, we should have mastery over two, three subjects. So now that I have done masters in the core engineering work, how can I switch to other uh, job profiles? As in, let's say for data science, if I have to switch to data science, then why will the companies prefer for
No, no, okay. I didn't say that you acquire multiple academic qualifications. I said in your domain, in electrical engineering, I do not have enough idea to answer this question.
yeah,
In electrical engineering itself, there could be multiple. Like as I said, I can only talk about civil engineering. We have 20 different parts of civil engineering. You can become experts in multiple of these, and wherever they intersect, you have a greater opportunity. So I really do not know. I am not saying that I jump from being a construction engineer to be suddenly a mechanical engineer, or you know, I can only give examples from my business. For example, okay, in construction, we have what is known as contracts administration, contracts management, claims and disputes resolution, which requires legal background and legal understanding. So there are many people, many engineers who have done LLB so that they can pursue dispute resolution business in construction, right?
yeah,
They haven't switched over to becoming a full-fledged lawyer, but because they have a law degree and they have knowledge of construction technology, construction engineering, field experience, they are better at managing disputes or fighting legal battles, whether it is in arbitration or in court cases. That's what I meant. So you need to find out what kind of,
something related.
something related where there is a demand, there is a shortage. It's more of always demand supply equation. So you need to find out what kind of skills are demanded, and you will find there would be generally where there is a niche area, there will be generally I want an electrical engineer with some other additional something unrelated or related expertise. Try to figure that out yourself. I can't answer for your stream of engineering. I'm sorry.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Got it.
Okay. Then
Thank.
thanks, Rupali, for the question. Thanks, sir. Vidyut, over to you. And maybe also we can take that photograph with if everybody is comfortable turning their video on just as a photograph for the event. Yep, Vidyut?
Yes. Can everybody, whoever is comfortable with turning on their video, you can just turn on the video for 4 or 5 seconds. That is all we would need for taking a quick group photo in the virtual scenario. That is how we are going to take a group photo. So,
Okay.
okay, we'll take 5 seconds for that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, yeah. Okay, I've taken a photo. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay,
Yes,
so
Vidyut. So if you
yeah,
can just end the vote of thanks. Yeah.
yeah, sure. So first of all, I would like to thank everyone, all the participants, because it is the participants which make any technical talk or a discussion, whatever. It is because of the participants we are organizing all these events, and without your active participation, this wouldn't have been a success. So to start off with, I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Shashank Vaidya, for giving his valuable inputs on the topic of what it takes to succeed in core engineering. Thank you, sir. It was indeed a wonderful session, very insightful, and I'm sure all the participants have some key takeaways from this session, which will be helpful in their professional and their future endeavors. Also, let me take a moment to thank the entire team who was working hard behind making this event a success. First, to start with our track coordinators, Ali and Rijas. So Ali as the host and moderator for the entire session, and also for wonderfully organizing and conducting the Q&A session. Rijas, the other core engineering track coordinator, he was they're one of the supporting pillars behind reaching out to all the participants, working for the registrations, sending out the invite link. So all these things very wonderfully taken care of by the team. And also, I would like to thank Utsav, our chapter secretary, and Smita, the president of the IITBAA Bangalore Chapter, for helping us in planning and execution of the event at different phases, and also helping in publicizing the event through the various social media platforms of our association. We also have a very wonderful team of Devesh, who is the CEO of the IIT Bombay Alumni Association, Namita, the Chief Operating Officer, and Gaurav, the staff from central office. So these are the people who actually work behind the scenes to make sure that the entire planning and execution of the event goes perfectly as per plan. And last but not the least, Divyam Goel, who has helped us in getting the Zoom account through which we are having this wonderful meeting. So I would really like to thank Divyam for giving us access to the Zoom account. With this, I would like to uh, pass on the stage to Ali. But before that, once again, thanks to all the participants. And we hope that you will be with us for the future core engineering talks as well, which we'll be organizing in the upcoming months. Over to you, Ali. Thank you.
Thanks, Vidyut. And
Thank you.
thanks a lot, Vaidya sir, for taking out time for sharing your learnings from the career with us. I think this is really helpful. I have taken some snippets with you, some of the nuggets that you have shared. And this video would be up. We will share the link with you, and we will also share with our IIT Bombay Alumni Association, who will publish this on the web page. So whoever have missed it can have a look at it when the video is available
Okay.
online.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks. We have gone beyond our planned time, but it was really good discussion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.